Hello, and welcome to a little summary of a recent trip I took to Botswana. So I was in country for about a week, but with travel time from the west coast of the United States, I was gone for about 12 days. It takes about 2 days to get there, 2 days to get back. I was lucky enough to have a bit of a layover in London. Didn't get to see anything of the city, but it was nice to, get a few of my English treats in the airport. Then we flew from London all the way down to South Africa, and this was a pretty wild flight, all overnight, but still clearly kept me entertained looking out the window. After a super brief layover in South Africa, we were in Botswana. And one of the first things we did is to climb this big hill. Hill's a strong word to use here. It's actually a hike that I did 2 years ago when I was in Botswana, and it's wild to me because the landscape looks so incredibly different. The country's been getting a lot more rain recently, so everything is lush and green, and it's a tough hike, but I made it to the top and was really happy to have done it. Saw some baboons as well. We were excited to see some new animals, so we decided to go to the Mokolote Nature Reserve, which is actually just right outside of Gaborone, which is the capital city of Botswana, where we were staying. And this is not an activity I got to do very much on my last trip to Botswana, so it was super great to be able to get out into the nature and to see a whole bunch of animals. This one was a surprising one, not what you would expect in a semi-arid climate. But there were also some really cool things that you don't see all the time here in Seattle, Washington, like these giraffes. Giraffes were probably the highlight animal for most of the people I was traveling with. We saw them more than any other of the, big African animals that you think about seeing when you go anywhere to view animals in, greater Africa. But they weren't everything that we saw, so I'll let you take a little look-see at some of this game drive. While we saw a lot of animals in Botswana, that wasn't all we saw. We did spend a day in the city learning a bit about Botswana's history and the setting up of the modern government. We also went to a local market where we were able to see and learn a little bit more about some traditional foods. And then it poured on us. So yeah, the rain's no joke here. So our last big adventure was driving north about 4 hours to see a historical museum dedicated to one of the founders of modern Botswana, and then also to visit a rhino sanctuary. The Khama III Memorial Museum was certainly interesting, mostly pictures, a few artifacts, and not something that I would go to central Botswana to see, but certainly if you're in the area, it's really worth your 30 minutes of time that we spent looking around the museum and getting a little bit of a tour. And the last big stop on our itinerary was the Khama Rhino Sanctuary. Back in 2024, when I first went to Botswana, we did try to go to this sanctuary and see the rhinos there. Unfortunately, the weather was pretty terrible, and it was actually really cold and wet the day that we were there, so all the rhinos were hiding. So we saw 0 rhinos at the rhino sanctuary. So I was thrilled that we had some good weather and really hopeful that we would see a little bit more of the wildlife and also, the rhinos at the rhino sanctuary. So we did about an hour and a half long game drive, and we saw so many different things. So I'll let you watch a little bit of that. So that's it. The highlights of my trip to Botswana in April. We drove back down to Gaborone and a few days later flew back to the United States. But on the whole, this was such a lovely trip. It was so nice to get to experience new things, even if I was visiting somewhere that I'd already been. I have nothing but love and gratitude for the people who hosted me and for the country of Botswana for sharing with me. Thanks for watching.